Black Sails, Season 4, Episode 3. This was a very eventful episode. Everything that happened in it is going to impact the story later on. This is setting up so much that's still to come in this world. And overall, this has been the best episode we've seen of this season. I was so blown away. To start things off, everything that happened with Max in this episode, her whole going against Beringer, becoming her own person again, siding kind of with the pirates of Nassau. Not really though, she's doing her own thing and I like that. She's trying to create a bigger world, set some things up for herself, put herself in a bigger position of power. I loved everything that happened with Max in this episode. She really stood out to me as this really a good character. The past couple seasons I have not been with her character, but I love everything she has done this episode and this season. She's really becoming back to this character I liked from the first season. Going on later, everything with her and Eleanor, all that stuff I was really good with. And the way she stood up for herself against Beringer and all this stuff, she's really emoting in this quiet sort of sense where she plans everything out and maybe doesn't come across as the smartest person in the room, but is definitely one of the smartest people in the room, somebody you should look out for and be scared of. So it's really impressed to see everything she did in this episode. She was fantastic, and that was just one part of this episode, and the overall episode just blew my mind. So let's get into a few of the smaller things I really liked before we jump into the big eventful things that happened. Seeing Maddie and Flint, their relationship I think is really coming in to be one of the most interesting and intriguing parts of this narrative. Because they started off not really with each other. Their only saving line to being like this allies with each other was John Silver. And with John Silver out of the picture for the first part of the season, now he's back. They had to find a way to be these allies again, so everything they talked about, just the two of them, I was really impressed by. And then, of course, having Silver come back, that really makes the story flow a lot better. It's going to have all these things come together. We're going to have the two wars now, not these separate factions. All we have to do is have Jack come back with the ship, and we'll have this big army ready to fight. And John Silver, this was not a John Silver episode, but did something that all the other episodes were leading up to, and that's we're seeing that Long John Silver is becoming this name that people know and fear. And I really like that. The build up to the reveal of John Silver really good in this episode, something they needed to do soon and fast so we can have the whole thing like Long John Silver be known throughout the world as this feared pirate and the last pirate king, the last true pirate that will end the wars against the pirates and the Spaniards and all of that. So really nice to see John Silver have his big moment and be feared throughout everybody, even by Beringer, who I was surprised how much I was going to like this character. I thought he was just going to be this random character at first that we just didn't like, but he really came into his own in this episode, and he had this big moment when he told all these people watching him, when he got the note that his men were killed by John Silver, he's like, I'm unarmed, come at me. If you really are with John Silver, don't be a coward, you can strike me down now. That was a really impressive scene for Beringer, and we do get the send-off of him in this episode, so that was one of the big important scenes at this episode, is the death of Beringer, and pretty much symbolizing the end of Wood Rogers' reign on Nassau, because the pirates are coming back to take over. I really liked this, and one of the things I really liked was that it was Israel Hands that killed him. I wasn't expecting Israel to do that, and when he was in the last episode last week, I was really impressed with his character. He scared me. There's something intimidating about him that we haven't seen in any of the other characters in the show except for Blackbeard. And when I saw him, I was like, yes, this man is scary. He's tough. He was recluse. You see him in this battle going against these men, and everything he did was tough, it was strong, it was brutish. So him having the final blow to Beringer really set that up. He's going to be this character that we're going to be scared of. He's going to be a loose cannon. He's going to be scary and just overall a really intriguing character. Everything they've done with Beringer in this episode, and Israel Hand setting up him to be this next scary guy like Blackbeard, was really incredible. And then the scenes where we just have him and John Silver, and they're at his place of residence, sort of, and they're like, are you going to run away? I thought that was funny. You need those little moments like that. It really helped. How's John Silver going to run away? That was a really funny moment, really nice moment, a touching moment for this character, for this story. And so we'll talk about this big battle before we get into probably the most eventful thing that happened in this episode. The big battle where we see Beringer hangs 3 of John Silver's men, and then John Silver with Flint They come in, they're going to kick ass, take names, they're going to do some bad shit, and take back Nassau for them. And this is a really nice battle. It's the way it's set up. You don't know if they're going to attack Beringer's men. Beringer sets up the fight and strike them all down with these gun blows, and then they just a huge charge. When you see the other people of Nassau, Maddie and her people, they all come in, they're going to kick ass, and it becomes a really nice battle where we see John Silver hurting people, killing people. It was really impressive to see John Silver do something like this. It was such a big, epic moment, and it was gorgeous. So then we think they're dead. They got people on top of the buildings coming down to strike them all down. And who comes in to save the day is Billy Bones and the rest of his pirate crew. Incredible. Billy Bones is now going to be set up to be the next guy with John Silver. This is a really nice way of taking Flint out of the main picture, not making him the main character. Past 3 seasons, this has been about Flint. It's been Flint's story. But this is going to be the end of Flint. We're going to see his character move away from the front line, being in the back now, and it's going to be intense. This was a good way to set that up, because you see Flint have the final look with Beringer, and we see John Silver. This is the end of Flint's story, the beginning of Long John Silver and Billy Bones. And that is really nice to see. So now, on the other side of this, we have one of the biggest moments in this series, in this show, and in this season. And that is, we have our final look at Teach and Blackbeard in the most gruesome scene I've seen in cinematic history on television in so long. It was very hard to watch. So, to set up this whole scene, they're going after Wood Rogers. Teach has this plan. He's going to set up. He's going to sneak up onto the ship. He's going to take Anne with him. They're going to get up there. They're going to fight. Jack is in charge of the ship while they're gone. Once they get up there, there's this beautiful shot. It's a really small shot, but it's Anne just standing on the edge of the pirate ship, and you see everyone climbing up behind her. It looked beautiful. Very well done. And then you see that there's dead bodies there, and then Teach does something I was really impressed by, and he confirms the kill. He stabs the men that are dead and makes sure they're dead. He sees one's alive. The man smiles, knowing you're going to lose it here now. And then Wood Rogers comes up with the rest of his crew. They capture Teach and Anne and the rest of the people over there. So it's forced into a bad situation where Jack has to surrender. He raises up the white sail. It's sad. Then we get this really impressive scene where you can see Wood. This has surprised me because I wasn't expecting Wood Rogers to be this intimidating badass. But he really held his own in the battle. He killed people and he was intense and he got the better of Blackbeard. That was impressive to me. And I don't think Wood Rogers is a really good character, but this really helped make him this better character. So when we get this scene where they have him captured, he has Teach hanging from this rope, and you're like, what's going to happen? What's going on? And they drop him into the water. And at first I thought, they're just going to drown him. Okay, that makes sense. But then you hear them heave and they're pulling, and you hear the scraping sound. And you're like, what is that? And then you pull him up. Teach comes out the other side. He's covered in blood. He's broken. And they throw him back onto the boat. And you're like, they just dragged him across the bottom of the ship. That is brutal. That is intense. That is gruesome. And you think he's dead. But he coughs his way up again. And then here comes the second pull underneath that boat, and this time we see the body being pulled underneath, and it is intense, and I couldn't watch. It was just so hard to see the scraping noise, knowing that's his skin, his back being dragged across, and he comes back up and he's still alive. It's insane how intense it was. We have a third pull. We think Jack's going to get pulled across too, but no, Teach gets pulled a third time. Still painful. It's silent. You have this beautiful tracking shot along the whole boat, watching all these people in shock as they're all silent, hear the scraping sound from beneath the boat, and he gets back up, and we think he's dead. We see his body. It's broken. Chunks of skin are gone. He's gone. But he coughs up and he smiles at Wood Rogers, forcing him to do something he could have done from the beginning, making him look like a fool in front of his men, in front of Anne, in front of Jack, in front of all these people, and he shoots Teach in the head. And that's the end of Blackbeard. It was beautiful, it was intense, and it's the perfect send-off for a character like Blackbeard. This episode blew my mind. Everything of all the characters was incredibly well done, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. At the beginning, I thought this was just going to be another generic episode. It's just going to be filler, set it up, and it set up everything so well, but in an intense way. I was really impressed with this episode. So let me know your thoughts on this episode. What did you like? What didn't you like? Let's talk about it, and good luck.